Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Yesterday I got the transmission reinstalled in the first gen 4Runner, and that's what we're working on right now. Thank you to my buddy Jason for helping me with that. Since this truck has been sitting for so long, the battery is dead, so I need to take the battery out and get this thing charged up on the trickle charger. In the meantime, I'm going to be buying some new transmission fluid to hopefully start this thing up and take it for a test drive with no issues. And then we have a new carpet kit that we want to install as well in this 4Runner to make some progress on the interior. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's episode. So in case you're new to the channel or haven't seen the last two episodes, previously I rebuilt the transmission out of that 4Runner completely with a brand new bearing gasket and seal kit, and I'll leave links to that in the description below. But today is going to be the first time we've started that thing after rebuilding the transmission. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I think everything will go just fine. Just got back from the parts store and gonna fill up the transmission now. We're just filling it up from the shifter hole on top. If I remember correctly, this thing takes about 3 quarts of oil, maybe a little bit over. So we're just gonna fill her up. All right, now we're gonna top off the transfer case. The transfer case uses like 1.7. You basically just fill it up till it comes out of the fill hole. But since we're filling from the top, just doing exact measurements up here. All right, with the transfer case shifter installed, moving on to the main shifter for the actual transmission and installing the rubber gasket. There's these little, I've said this in all the other videos too, but there's these little washers that can fall into this hole, so be careful. Just gonna put them in there like this. Watch me drop one right in front of you guys. Okay. Putting them into place, and then we'll bolt on the shifter and try to start her up and see if the transmission works as it's supposed to this time around. It should. Put a lot of work into it and was very diligent about getting it back together correctly, so there should not be any issues when we start this thing up. I should have installed this shifter plate before I installed the transmission, because as you can see, these bolts are blocked by the actual floor pan of the car, the transmission tunnel. So what I'm gonna have to do is take the shifter out, it's just these 4 bolts right here, and then get to these ones with a wrench. All right, I got the battery hooked up. We're gonna try to start it now, if it has enough power to start. The battery's not all the way charged, but maybe we can get this thing to turn over. This is the real first start. I haven't done this off camera. This is the first time I'm starting the truck with the new transmission in it. Let's see if this thing works as it's supposed to. All right, so first impressions, there's no clanking or knocking from the transmission, which is good. I'm gonna let it warm up for just a little bit, then try to put it in gear, and that's when we're gonna see if my rebuild was successful or not. Now the drive shaft isn't on it, so I'll probably show you guys just the tail housing spinning on the flange, and that'll be our indicator of, you know, if it goes in gear or not. So we'll try that in just a second. There's first gear. Just let it out just a little bit. Okay, second gear. Looking good. Nice. Third. I can hear it going into gear. Fourth. Fifth. Watch the speedometer right here. And now we have reverse. Hey! Woohoo! Successful transmission rebuild, baby! This thing works just as it's intended to. Awesome. No problems at all with that. right, so there it is. The transmission is back into the 4Runner. The 3RZ with the W56 is fully operational now. This thing can finally hit the road. It's been off the road since I bought the truck. But what we have to do now is install the drive shaft, because I didn't put it on there yet just in case I had to take the transmission back off if it had an issue, and I didn't want to get down in the dirt. I need to move it to the side of my house over there. But there's a new project over here that I can't let you guys see yet, but I couldn't get it over on the pavement because it's in the way. So we got to put the drive shaft back on there. Once that's on, we can take it for a test drive and we can get the new carpet kit installed and start freshening up that interior that we started on so long ago. Jason came over to help. He helped me push this thing into the garage. It's like 111 degrees outside, and I couldn't get that thing up the incline myself. So I got to wire in this plug that broke under the car, and then I have to get the drive shaft in as well. While I'm doing that, Jason's going to be working on the interior. If you guys remember, we went through this entire interior and installed all this sound deadening mat and cleaned everything up and got it real nice and ready for a new carpet, and then I just never got the carpet installed. So we're gonna take care of that today and yeah, get this thing running. All right, take it out of gear and spin the back tire so I can get access to this bolt. All right, stop. Is it back in gear? Oh, can you get the e-brake back on? All right, same thing. Now I have to wire in this plug right here. So I already removed the shielding on the actual plug itself and the wiring harness right here. And this goes up and over the transmission and plugs into this guy over here. Now everything under here is kind of frail because it's right next to this cat, which obviously radiates a lot of heat. So you see it's kind of just hanging down right there. And there's a lot of unused plugs from the swap harness. So I'm going to zip tie these up out of the way up here just to get them further away from that cat, and do the same thing for these wires that are over here. And then once that's soldered in, we'll be done under the truck, and then we can get started on helping Jason with that interior.
In case you guys were wondering, I'm not enjoying this. I absolutely hate being under a car like this. Wiring, it's not fun, but we're done. Drive shaft's in, harness is wired in. Now we can get to the fun stuff, the test drive and getting the interior back together.
So here's the new carpet next to the old carpet. As you can see, the new carpet, of course, looks much better than all of this old junk. It's really dirty. In fact, all this dirt that's on the ground right here is from the old carpet. This stuff is just filled with dirt, as you can see. Jason's over here watching old RM garage videos to figure out how exactly the carpet goes in this back area, because of course the aftermarket carpet isn't a one-to-one match for the OEM carpet. So we're figuring out where all the holes go to mount it in there and just laying the carpet throughout the entire truck. All right, so I can't really fake this now because we already opened it, but when we were opening the glove box, I was looking for some bolts and I found the actual factory brochure for the 4Runner, and it's their old slogan from like the 80s, who could ask for anything more? And it has all of the like options that these 4Runners could come with. Look at this. It has a little picture of the 22RE in here, 135 horsepower. It's a bit of an overstatement, I would say. I would say like 99. all the tech that these things could come with, that nice 80s red interior, the whole like spec sheet and everything, all the different options you could have on the truck. It's just super cool. I've never opened the glove box on this, so I never saw it. When we were trying to get in the seatbelt, the threads that are at the front of the bolt here are kind of boogered up, as you can see. And I've been waiting for a good time to show you guys this tool that I got called a rotary thread. And it's actually kind of like an automatic thread file. So it's pretty cool. You just take the actual bit itself and it runs through the threads and it cleans it up. So we're gonna fix these threads right now and then fix the actual female threads in the bolt hole in the truck if necessary as well. All right, so as you guys can see, the bolt is now threading into the hole. The actual inside of the hole is kind of boogered up too, but I wasn't able to get the tool in there. Just to disclose everything, they did send me the tool. They didn't tell me I had to review it or anything, but I am definitely willing to review a tool that works, and this tool works pretty well. So yeah, we fixed that bolt hole and now we can get started, or we fixed the bolt and now we can get started on getting the rest of the interior in here. We have the rear half of the truck done for the most part, so now I'm gonna work on this midsection right here. I'm really tired of cutting things out and making them fit perfectly, so I'm gonna use the old carpet as a template. I'm gonna do a rough cut a little bit more than I need just in case, you know, it's not the same exact size and I can trim it as necessary, and then throw in this midsection. Making pretty steady progress with it. We got the midsection in, so now what I want to do is install the passenger side panels and the rear seats. Once those are installed, then we can get started on installing the front carpet section, the driver and passenger seats, and all of the center console and shift bezel stuff. In case you were wondering how the seat belts go through these panels on a first gen 4Runner like me, and you're stuck there trying to understand it for like 10 minutes, the cable goes through it, or the seat belt goes through it like this. And then the plastic trim goes through it too. One side goes up onto your B pillar up here, and the other side goes down to the floor like this. So that is how these go in. Jason and I were sitting here trying to get this seatbelt into the panel for like 10 minutes, totally confused on how that's supposed to go through the panel and also bolt to the floor and the B-pillar. Well, it has to come apart, and then it will go right in. The rear panels and the rear seats are in, as well as the rear carpet as mentioned earlier, and it's really starting to come together. Now we just need to move on to the front carpet, as I've said a million times already, but we're finally getting there now. It's the next day. It got a little bit too dark last night to continue working on the 4Runner, so we just went ahead and started back up today and got finished on that interior. Let me show you guys how that looks. We're starting off with the rear. We got the rear carpet in and the rear wheel wells in on each side under the roll bar. A little bit difficult to fit those in there. They come really oversized, and we just had to make them fit. So moving forward to the front section, we got the front carpet in there, fits really nicely. The seats are really ugly and kind of make everything look bad, but the carpet does look really good. Oh, this doesn't have an adjuster. I was gonna pull it forward to show you guys, but the little arm is broken off. Here is the mid carpet area. We got the panels back in, the rear seats, and yeah, we're ready to pressure wash this thing so we can see out the window. Obviously, you can't really see out of there. And then take this thing for the test drive, see if the transmission works as it should. Officially on the first test drive of the 3RZ 4Runner, without a broken transmission. You can probably hear that exhaust leak. It's coming from the header. There's those two like gaskets that are rings, and they're both bad, so we have an exhaust leak right now. But we're in 4th gear right now with no issues. Cruising down the road at about 45 miles an hour, and everything seems to be pretty good. Should we take this thing for a full throttle 0 to 60? I think we should. No, we're probably not going to. That's a terrible idea for the first test drive. All right, we're gonna do a 0 to 60 at like half throttle just to see how it does. So much more power than a 22RE. It's unbelievable. It's like the power of a 3.0, but not a shitty motor, and it gets to speed so much faster and quicker than a 22RE. This is the swap to do right here. You should see Jason behind the camera right now. It's just all smiles. I honestly cannot believe how good that 4Runner runs. The 3RZ is such a good motor for that truck. It works so well. The power is instant, and it's just there. Oh, not stopping. I'm not cool enough to be picked up in the 4Runner, I guess. So what do you think?
Badass, dude.
Yeah, this thing runs really, really well. All right, guys, as you can see, the first gen 4Runner runs really well with that 3RZ in it. Absolutely no problems at all after putting that new transmission in there. However, as I did mention in the last video, Jason was going to be upgrading from his 2nd gen 4Runner to a new platform to him, and I'm also upgrading into a new platform myself. So with that said, what are your plans for it?
You'll have to wait and see.
You'll have to wait and see.